shoes. Everything she says is truth. If you don't know, now you know. All you ever gotta say is heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that. Look, all you ever gotta say.
What's up, Heard That Nation, listening in the United States and around the world. You are listening live to the Heard That with Marisa Tigney podcast. I am Marisa, and today on this show, you are going to be inspired. You're going to be excited. You need to get hyped. And if you got something tie-dye, you want to bring it out of the closet immediately. I have with me the former NFL wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys. He is the alum of the North Carolina Tar Heels that just completely broke my heart in the bracket. We'll get to that in a moment. He is the CEO, the founder, the president of Tie Dye Fridays. You have his permission to jam, whether you in your office, the car, the supermarket, Macy's, wherever. He wants you to turn it up and turn it loose and dance a little something. I mean, I've done it in Tom Thumb, aisle 6. I ain't got no shame whatsoever. I turn it on, turn them on and get inspired. And in my promo before the show, when I was talking to other people, I call this man a humanitarian, and we'll get into that momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, on the Heard That with Marisa podcast, the one and only Jesse Holly. How are you today, sir?
I am fantastic. I'm so happy to be here. I love the energy. The energy is, and you know that's my level of energy right there, to be on 10. Yes. I love the energy, and I'm excited to be here to join you and all of your guests. So let's get it popping. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about. I love the energy that you bring. And the reason why in the promos, when I had your picture out there and people were looking, I said that you're a humanitarian. And the reason why I say that is because of what you've done for so many people and the lives you impacted. And as recently, this horrible snowstorms that we had here in Texas, Snowstorm Uri, and people without power, without electricity, pipes busted, all kinds of stuff that was going on. And you sent out a simple tweet saying, hey, if anybody needs a hotel room to stay, get a hold of me. And pretty much that just blew up from there. Your post, and I saw your post and I was passing it on, and people that I didn't even know was reaching out to me saying, hey, is he still giving hotel rooms? Is he still providing this? Is he still providing food or anything like that there? I mean, you and I had spoke before then, and I've never seen anything like this. Grocery store shelves empty, people panicking, people not wanting to drive in the snow. I mean, you're from a cold state, New Jersey. I'm from Michigan. We're used to the snow. I mean, we're used to driving in it. But when there's no plow, no salt, no salt trucks, no shovels, of course, people don't want to drive in it. I just want to know, and we'll dive right into this too, your nonprofit, your Holly's Helping Hands, which at the end, I just want you to share about that. You've done so much for this community. What inspired you to, two-part question, what inspired you to do something about putting a tweet out and wanting to help people during the snowstorm that happened here in Texas? And what is the inspiration behind Holly's Helping Hands?
All right, before we get to that, let's not act like you were boots on the ground with me. Like you were like calling up your folks back home. They were sending stuff. You were right there, shoulder to shoulder in the foxhole with me. So that thank you for your heart.
Absolutely.
And for your dedication to helping people, and you don't understand how much you helped me help others. But the biggest thing to answer your question on that particular situation with the snowstorm, I had no problems. I'm sitting at home. I got power, I got food, I got heat, I got running water. And I'm looking at the city and it's the state, and it's like under this major emergency and this, duress. And then, people don't have, and you start looking around and you're like, man, these babies and these people, these moms, these dads, and people can't do anything. Mm-hmm. And initially, I'm going to be honest with you, God put it on my heart to do so, just to say, hey, if someone needs help, be there.
Yeah.
And so when I put the tweet out, I didn't think it was going to get any traction. I thought maybe one or two people might say something, because honestly, and this is the honest to God truth, there was money there to take care of a couple rooms, but I was like, I'll take a couple rooms and I'll be fine. And then I just got inundated and flooded with requests, and I had no clue how I was going to pay for it all.
Oh, wow.
And I never asked anyone for a dime.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, it's like, and I'm gonna always mention this. I am a believer of Christ,
Hmm.
uh, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That is the head of my life.
Hmm.
And when I put it out, because He put it on my heart,
Yeah.
and I put it out there, never thinking it would have the impact that it had,
Hmm.
not knowing how I would pay for it all. And it was just a showing of when you're obedient to what God has called you to do,
Yeah.
He'll take care of the rest.
Absolutely.
And so it was basically like a Peter moment. It was, I'm not gonna go to church on you, but it was a Peter moment. It was, get off the boat, step
Hmm.
off the boat, and I'll take care of the rest. It
Right.
was it was the little boy, give me the lunch that you have. Give me your Lunchable and watch me feed 5,000.
It was a
Not,
trust. It was a trust me moment.
it was a trust
Yeah.
moment. It was like, do it. And
Hmm.
before you know it, with your help, with other people help, the donation started coming in. We put, and I say we because it wasn't just a Jesse effort. It was a Herculean effort. You were helping, you were calling, you were doing something. Other people doing the same thing. A lot of times I get to be the face,
Hmm.
um, and I get to use my platform, but it doesn't get done all by me.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm just a small key a small piece in the cog of this whole machine that is going.
Right.
And we put about 48 families in hotels for at least 2 days, if not more. Some families more, during that time when everyone was in need. And God was just pouring in. Like, you look, I'm like, oh, another donation, another. I was like, yeah, go ahead. And it was to the point where I didn't have to turn anyone away.
That's fantastic.
And it was just like, the more give, 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 give. And it was, telling people, like, if they have food at the hotel, get food. Like, we'll take care of the rest later. Get
Hmm.
food, eat, take a shower. And we forget sometimes when we don't have those small necessities, as being
Hmm.
able to take a shower.
Yeah.
You take a shower in 2 days.
Yeah.
Or people's homes have been destroyed because pipes are bursted. And so it was just one of those things. God put it on my heart. I followed the will that he told me to go. And people like you and others who helped and who donated, we were able, it was probably, when you look at all of the families, we're talking close to about 300 people in that time was
Wow.
able to have safety and shelter and warm rooms and beds and showers and to eat something
Hmm.
during that time of need. So I just answered the call that God put on my heart. And that's just who I am. Like, I'm a
That's
giver.
beautiful.
I'm a giver by nature.
Yeah.
And it's not just monetarily, whether it's inspirational words or a hug or a laugh. Like, I have a heart to give.
Hmm. It was one of the messages that I got from a family that we did put in the hotel, Jesse. She brought all of the clothes that she could salvage and that weren't ruined by the busted pipes and went and washed them. And she had messaged me and said that after she took them out of the dryer, she smelled them. And it was like she's done laundry all the time and everything else and didn't think nothing of it. But at this particular time, when they didn't have water, when they didn't have electricity in their other house, and her to pick up the laundry that was clean and to smell it, it was a whole different sense of gratitude that she said she had.
Right.
And for me, that was a lesson right there, because here on our end, we had water, heat, electricity, we were fine. But it just is so amazing that you started something, in the community. And it was amazing to see the community that connected with you. Like, okay, this hotel's got this open, or these people need it, or you still giving and everything else. And all of us, with your amazing leadership. And yes, I'm calling you a leader because it just takes one pebble thrown into an ocean or a river, but then the ripple
Yeah.
starts to become greater and greater and greater. And everybody saw the ripple effect. And that was when everybody was able to connect with you in this community and help others. So that is incredible how many families were provided hotel rooms during
Absolutely.
that time.
Absolutely. No, it was amazing. It was, you know, it was a sight to hold. And there were times where I had to call some hotels, and I hate doing this, but it's like, all right, if any time, like now is the time to kind of pull that cowboy card out, Jess. Like now is the time. So I was like, hey, this is Jesse Holley, former Dallas Cowboy receiver. And they're like, are you Jesse Holley? I'm like, yes. And sometimes you got to do that. And it was like, yeah, sure, we got a room for you. I'm like, thank you. Hold that room for me. I'll call you right back. So it was like sometimes like I don't like doing that, but it was like, all right, this is the moment that God put you on that stage. Go ahead and throw that Cowboys card out there and say who you are. And people responded, and it was just it was great. It was great.
That's so good that you have that kind of compassion and that kind of giving spirit. And, you know, I hope from this and after this pandemic ends, please God, let it end soon. Because I'm ready to go travel. I'm ready to go see a show. I'm ready to go, you know, just do the things that I love to do. And I was watching a couple of my friends. They were able to go to a few of these games on NCAAs. And it was awesome. And I was corresponding back and forth with them. And they were saying, Maurice, I will never take a live game for granted ever again. He goes, there was only like 200, 300 people at this game. He goes, but it felt like 3,000 because everybody was just cheering and everything. And so I don't know how much you've been paying attention to the NCAA brackets. I have no complaints. We haven't had it for 2 years. My brackets are all rest in peace, except for 2 of them are still alive. I have Michigan going all the way in one and Gonzaga in the other. Your North Carolina Tar Heels, your alum, your beloved alum, they broke my heart. I had them going a couple of rounds. I had one where I was kind of chancing it because it's Roy Williams. He's, you know, the master of somehow trying to get his teams to win, at least somewhat going to the Sweet 16. Yeah. That didn't happen. I mean, I absolutely am enjoying this tournament because we're seeing a lot of surprise teams that we thought could go the distance, get bumped out early by team. I mean, Oral Roberts, Ohio, Abilene Christian. I mean, shouts out Abilene, Texas. Abilene Christian. I mean, who are some of the teams that you see that were surprised in making it further than they should have, and the ones that just kind of, you know, all the hype, but then ended up being a fizzle?
Yeah, you know, of course, my heart broken when my Tar Heels went out. But I always appreciate this tournament as someone who's been a part of this tournament and actually won a national championship. You know that every single week, this could be the end.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you know, they say it in boxing, they say styles make fights. And in the NCAA, you get one chance. And if UNC had to play Wisconsin 10 times, we'll probably beat them 8 out of the 10 times.
Yeah.
But one time they were hot, they were winning. And same thing, if Oral Roberts had to play another one of these blue blood teams, or if Ohio had to play, we played them 10 times, it would be, the outcome would be Oral Roberts losing a lot of those times.
Yeah.
But in this tournament, you only got to win once. And then you move on, and you got to win. You got to have 6. You got to have 6 individual wins every single week. And so that's the exciting part about it, is you get a chance to watch these teams. I've never watched an Oral Roberts game before in my life. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Same.
Never. Like, I've never watched an Ohio game in my life. I've never seen an Abilene Christian basketball game in my life.
Right.
You get a chance to see these schools that you don't normally watch. They don't normally showcase themselves on the national brand. And you get to see these stories. You get to hear the stories, and you get to see these kids have an opportunity to do something that is remarkable. I remember so vividly every single moment of our championship run back in 2005. These kids will remember these moments forever. This is history, and to be a part of it is something special. And basketball is my favorite sport. Even though I play football professionally, I love basketball. So to watch these games and to see these kids compete, and, you know, to see the upsets and the Cinderella stories, the Loyola of Chicago of the world, I love it.
The sister jeans. Who knows how far they're gonna go? I mean,
listen, I sit in my office and watch it. I watch it. I listen to it on the radio when I'm driving. I'm at home watching it all the time. This is like Christmas for me.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, you love to see your team survive and advance. But, you know, even though Carolina's out, I still enjoy watching the tournament and seeing, like, there's going to be a new national champion, and it may be someone who we didn't think. You know, it may be a Syracuse. So it may be an Oral Roberts. And people say, like I tweeted the other day, I said, think about this for a second. You know, Loyola, Chicago could possibly be national champions. And
Yeah, I saw your tweet. Yeah.
don't tell me they can't, because in the last 365 days, I seen a black female VP. I seen the Capitol stormed up. I seen Texas freeze over. I seen the most powerful country in the world shut down because of COVID. So don't tell me it ain't possible, because I lived the last 365 days and I just saw some stuff that I thought was never possible be possible.
Right, exactly. And I mean, just the excitement of it and the shock of it, and then people saying, "Oh, my bracket is busted," but I don't care. It's Loyola Chicago, it's Ohio, it's Oral Roberts, it's Abilene Christian. I mean, Kansas the other night being just destroyed by 34 points. You know, and all of this still during the impact of COVID. And I feel bad for the kids of VCU that didn't even get a chance because they had to withdraw. And Oregon, with all that extra rest, just came out and put the foot on Iowa. And I mean, this whole tournament, and I agree with your tweet so much, because I'm excited about who can actually take this. I mean, a number one is not guaranteed a number one. We saw that with Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a phenomenal series of events that it's involving. It's exciting to watch, man. I mean, after 2-year hiatus, I'm enjoying the ride.
That's it. That's all you can do. Enjoy the highs and the lows of it, and then you latch onto these stories, right? You find the Sister Jeans of the world, and you find all these different stories, and they highlight them, and you just fall in love with the game, and you understand what it takes to get to this moment, and to really just relish in the moment, to being in the national stage, and on this grandiose stage of being the NCAA tournament. So I again, as someone who has been a part of it, as someone who has been on both sides of the ledger of the teary eyes from going home and being eliminated, to the hearing the one shining moment and you're hoisting the trophy.
Yes.
It is exciting. It is fun. And being that we've been deprived of actually didn't have it last year or so, and being deprived of some sports or a lot of things that happened, I'm like, thank you, Lord. I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get in the sports.
Exactly. And shout out to North Texas too, because I mean, the story, the backstory, I don't want to butcher his name, but Javion Hamlet, not even being looked at by any college. People, I forgot who it was that interviewed him and said that he was a 2-star. And he said, "No, ma'am, let me correct you. I was a 0-star. He goes, "Nobody took a chance on me. North Texas came along, I proved it." And just seeing the backstory of him and his father with a whole sweatshirt on and all of his son's stats and picture and everything. I mean,
it was a bunch of stuff. I mean, he did the rounds to get there, but that's inspiration for. I look at all these things and I said, this inspiration for some young kid who may think, well, I can't because right now I'm no star. But also for adults, like I find inspiration in everything. And I look at that kind of stuff and I go, you know what? Just because it's not happening right now, doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's always, and you asked me before we did this, what's one of my favorite quotes? And it's being firm in your destination, but flexible in your journey. Because you can have a belief in something so strong, and you should have that, and you should harness that, and you should truly believe in that. But understand, the total distance between 2 points is a straight line. It ain't always the way you're gonna get there.
Yes, right.
Still be firm in your destination, but flexible in your journey, and know that if this is where I want to get to, I might have to take that winding road and that detour and that bypass and that service road, but I'm going to get to that point. And you look at stories like Javion Hamlet, you're saying, I want to get to a Division I program, and I want to be recognized, and I want to be seen, and I want to be on the national stage. And he probably thought in his head, I'm gonna go do it in high school, and then someone's gonna recruit me. I'm gonna be a 5-star, a 4-star, a 3-star, and then you end up being no stars. You got to go to this JUCO and that junior college, but you got there.
Yeah.
And now people know your story, and now people see you on the big stage, and now you're kind of you can become a name in people's mouth, and scouts see you. So always being firm in your destination and flexible in your journey. I love the inspiration that you can take away from stories like that.
Oh, absolutely. And if people are not getting inspired by that, I mean, they need to check their pulse, because me being in my late 40s, I'm still finding inspiration in hearing the stories that these young men share, or their coaches or their teams, all the time. And that's why the beauty of sports, I absolutely love it. And I love that quote that you have.
Early 30s, you talking about late 30s, early 30s, girl. Get out of here.
See, high five, dude. That's why God is going to richly enhance your life. Praise Him. Cue the organ, run around the church. Come on, somebody. But I love that, the inspirational part, because your journey to the NFL was, I found inspiration in that. And I did see you on the program, but take me back a little bit. You're in, is it Rossell? I want to make sure I say it right. Roselle, New Jersey, growing up there, Abraham Clark High School. And I just learned, I was today years old, learning that you played in a band, a high school band.
No, that's wrong.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute. He plays in a band. He's got tie-dye Fridays. He ain't bust out no instruments or anything like that.
I have zero musical talents. Zero.
No, listen, you have talents. You have musical talents. You incorporated music, tie-dye Fridays. We'll get into that momentarily. But I still say you have a musical talent. But you did two sports. You did basketball and you did football. And then you carried on to that in North Carolina. And then you played both of the sports. Which one did you like better? You said you liked basketball, but then you pursued football after you got out of North Carolina. So how did that journey, take me back to that journey going from high school to North Carolina and then winning a national championship, which had to be absolutely amazing. Like you said, like the confetti falling, one shining moment and all of that. Like, take me back to that whole entire journey process.
Yeah, it's funny. Basketball has always been my favorite. Like, I've always, like, if you were looking for Jesse, you can find me on the court. Sun up, the sun down, and then being in the neighborhood, you played everything, right? You played a little bit of kickball, you played base t-ball, stick ball, you played football, little, we call it popping on the sideline, you run in the street and you're playing, this car, that car is a touchdown. So you played everything with all the kids in the neighborhood, but basketball was one that I always stood out to me. It was the one that I enjoyed the most. And it was a coach who kind of got me to play football. I did little league football, but I only did it because all my other friends did it and I had no one to get in trouble with. So I was like, well, I'll just go hang out, at the football field and put on a uniform and play Pop Warner, because on the way home, we can all get in trouble. We can kind of break into cars and do bad little stuff that we used to do when I was younger. And then I got into high school, and one of the coaches who kind of helped cultivate my athletic skills, he was like, hey man, you should play football. I was like, football? Nah, no thank you. And so he's like, man, you really should. And so I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So my freshman year, I go out and I'm trying to play varsity because I never wanted to play my own age. So I go out and I try to play varsity, and I don't make varsity, but I make JV. And I'm killing JV. I'm crushing JV. And so what happens is you get to a point in time of the season, and then they'll bring junior varsity players up to play varsity if you're doing a good job. So I got elevated like halfway through the season to come up to varsity. And some of the older kids didn't like that. And so we were in practice, and I got hit late in practice. I was playing backup quarterback for the scout team. And I got hit late and broke my wrist. And I thought, oh my goodness, what about basketball? Like, I'm done for basketball because I broke my wrist. And I was going to try to play varsity basketball as a freshman.
Right.
And I broke my wrist, and I was like, I remember telling, his name was Brian. I said, Brownie, man, I said, see, man, this is your fault. I should have never done this, man. Like, now I'm not going to be able to play basketball. Luckily, it was the break that I had, it healed in like 3 or 4 weeks. It wasn't like a really bad break, and I was able to try out for basketball. And I ended up making the varsity basketball team. I was the first freshman ever in our school history to start varsity basketball.
Nice.
And then the next year, they were like, so you're going to try it again? I was like, no, you crazy? I'm like, like, you see how well I did on varsity as a freshman? I'm ready to get better for that. And I did. And then after my sophomore year, I started getting interest from schools. Like you started kind of hearing a little bit of a buzz. And then my junior year, it just blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you name it, like all the East Coast schools, Rutgers, Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan State, Maryland, Virginia. It was like, I was like, wait a second, what is happening here? And it became real to me
Mm-hmm.
because I had no idea about scholarships and any of that. Like I really had no dreams of truly being like, your kid said, I want to go to the league.
You're right.
I had no idea how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I want to go play professional, but I had no idea how. I'm a poor kid from Jersey, so I was like, I'll just play like everybody else and do what they did, just be around in the hood after I'm done playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that took off, and I ended up picking North Carolina out of all the schools because it just felt right. It felt like that was the place that I was supposed to be. I took visits to Michigan State, took visits to Ohio State, took visits to Virginia, and North Carolina felt like it was where I was supposed to be. When I got off the plane, it felt like home.
Mm.
And that's what made me go to North Carolina. And then it was a lesson learning there. You go from being this big fish in this small pond in New Jersey, and then now you're the small fish in this big pond in North Carolina. You have to earn your stripes again. And I did that, and it wasn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're playing two sports. That was a whirlwind because they were back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no rest my freshman year, no rest my sophomore year. And then it came down to making a mathematical decision, because it was like, all right, if you're going to go pro and you're close, Jess, it's on the horizon. Which one are you going to choose?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, there's only 12 to 15 spots in the NBA on a team. And at that time, it's not like it is now, where there was a legit, like your offense ran through your big guy. It was like centers. It wasn't all these stretch fives and 7-foot guys shooting 3-pointers.
Mm-hmm.
And you only had about 2 or 3 spots for your point guard. And in football, it was like, most teams keep 5-6 receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So my percentage is going up, and I was coming out right along that Larry Fitzgerald wave where it was like this tall wide receivers were kind of being now appreciated.
Right.
And so I was like, it only made sense to go ahead and choose football, and it worked out.
I like that, and I like that. And then you dropped a gem in that, because especially with kids that are getting ready to make that decision, they got schools, looking at them and looking at their talents and everything, mm-hmm. that they, are not going to a school or not choosing a school based on its popularity that they see all the time blasted on CBS and ESPN and ABC Sports and everything else. And they're always in the top 3 and everything else. You want to have that feeling of, okay, this fits. This school fits. It feels like home. I feel like that I'm going to accomplish things here, not only just the sports avenue, but I'm also going to get a great education here. I'm going to connect with people here, and everything's going to fit, and the path is going to go so right for me. And I hope that people that are listening to this, and students and those that are going to make that next step, whether it be sports or whether it be in the job market, they're slowly opening up now after, this pandemic is starting to be on the decline, that they are going to somewhere where it fits, that's right. It's not about the money. It's not about the accolades. It's not about, this place is number 1 in, making millions of dollars and everything else. It's about it being the right fit. 100%. And I appreciate you saying that.
It has to be. And that's the thing. I had the option to go anywhere where I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I looked at the situation and said, what fits best for Jesse Holly?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, especially for those in the athletic world now, younger people, we live in this social media age, which I didn't grow up with. You didn't grow up with.
Yeah.
At the twinkling of your thumbs, you have access to any and everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you have talent, they'll find you.
Yeah.
You'll find you. Don't allow yourself to get buried behind a chant. Like I tell kids all the time now, yes, it's great to go to Alabama. Fantastic to go to Alabama and play football.
Mm-hmm.
But just know that Alabama has 5-star recruits who are on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Know that Alabama has 4 or 5-star recruits that only play special teams. So if you think that you're going to go to Alabama and it's going to be all sweet,
you're right.
it ain't. And guess what? Once you get there, you know what Nick Saban's job is? To find the next recruit to go after you.
Mm-hmm.
So the train never stops. It never stops. And I'm not saying that you shy away from competition. I'm saying don't go somewhere for namesake.
Yes.
Go somewhere because it's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, everything else will take care of itself. You'll flourish and you'll be great and you'll get to whatever that destination is that you want to get to. And that's with jobs and relationships and business and finance, everything. Like, do things that are right for you. Don't try to live like the folks you see on Instagram
Right.
when you ain't got them kind of means. Don't try to live that life. You know, and we see it happen all the time. And you go off a 30-second clip of people living that life, and you don't. I personally know people, millions of dollars in the bank, are miserable.
Yeah.
Are horrible human beings. I know people I'm talking about houses with got rooms. They hate to go home. You know, I know people with the nicest cars and the nicest of everything. And on the inside, they are dark. And you can't fall in love with that. And I know people with little that live the most extraordinary lives because they're happy and everything that they want to do, they're doing. So you can't fall into that thing of doing what the Joneses are doing. You got to do what the Hollies, what makes work for the Hollies.
Yes.
What makes work for what your situation is, what you're looking to do, and stop, peeking on everybody else's tests and trying to see what they do. No, keep your head on your own paper, man, and live the life that you were called to live. It's so much more joy there.
That's so good. In 2007, the NFL draft happens, and they go through all the picks, and unfortunately, you did not get drafted. But I love the fact that it did not, just like, okay, I didn't get drafted. That's it. Pack it up. I'm done. Let me go, veer off somewhere else and be done with this chapter. Opportunity came to where you could possibly play in the NFL. And I remember this show, and I tell you, I was like, God, I hope that this show continues like this, to give athletes, to give football people that never got a chance to be drafted, to hear their name called. I hope that Michael Irvin brings it back, because I absolutely love it. It was called 4th and Long. Michael Irvin hosted it, and you won that competition. Take me through the whole process of your journey there, and then how it got you an opportunity with the Dallas Cowboys.
So just rewind for 1 second. So after college, I didn't get drafted, but I signed as a free agent with the Bengals.
Right.
And this makes the story even more interesting, because I was with the Bengals I was on that practice squad for about 10 weeks, and was up and down on their practice active squad for like 10 weeks, and then I got cut. It was the first time in my life I ever got cut, ever. I didn't know what to do. And again, when I say live the life that is the life that you're supposed to live, I began to live a life during that time that wasn't me. That wasn't who I was. And I was spending and doing things like just all willy-nilly. I lost everything. When I tell you I lost everything, like when I tell people I'm broke, like there's two types of broke. There's rich broke, where they're like, well, we're going to file for bankruptcy because we only got $10 million left. And then there's broke. I'm like, no. I was broke. No money in the bank. Lost everything, spent everything. And here I was, 20-something years old, and I was living on a friend's futon. I had to go.
So you were broke, and then, okay, so when I hear people say broke, were you broke and broken during that time?
Yes. Because the thing that broke me was the answer that I got. When I got released from the Bengals, they didn't tell me I wasn't fast enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't strong enough, any of that. This is learning the business of football. It was, hey, it's a numbers game, and we're short on linebackers, and you're the low man on the totem pole, so we're releasing you. I didn't understand that, and it bothered me. And I remember sitting in my part. My grandmother always had taught me. She's like, when you get yourself some money, make sure you got somewhere to keep your head, lay your head. And so I would pay my rent off like, 2 or 3 months in advance, just in case.
Right.
And so I had someone to stay for a little while. And then eventually I had to leave. I was living in Kentucky, right across the bridge in Ohio. And eventually I had to go. I said, I can't stay here. And so I was too embarrassed. To go back to Roselle because I felt like the haters were right. They said that I wouldn't make it. They said that I would be back here in Roselle just like everyone else. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, they're right. Here I am, had an opportunity of a lifetime, and it's gone. And I got to tuck my tail and go back to Roselle. So I didn't. I actually reached out to a friend and went back to Durham, North Carolina. And it was a really good friend of our family. And she let me stay in a room in her house. And it was great. And the thing that when I talk about broken, the thing that I look back on now, I was living a lie. Because even when people would call me, I would say, "Oh, nah, I'm good. I'm straight. I'm straight. Nah, I ain't doing that because I'm about to go back to another team, right? I'm about to get signed again." And so they're like, "Why you don't have your own place?" I don't want to get a new place because I'm about to go. I couldn't afford a place.
Right.
And this was this is 2000. And fast forward to 2008, we're in a recession. In 2008, no one can find jobs, and economy is all jacked up. I got a college degree, and I can't find a job, and I'm broke. And I did when I first got my little bit of money. I did what not all, but most young Black people from my situation. I ran to the dealership, right, and I got a car that I really couldn't afford, but I got it ignorantly because that's how I equated success. I equated success growing up in the hood. If you didn't have the cars or the jewelry, you didn't have success.
Right. And
I'm living in North Carolina, and I'm broke, and I get a job as a security officer, a mall cop. And that was one of the most humbling / embarrassing things that I ever had to do. And I tell the story of because I had to put on a clip-on tie every night as part of my uniform.
Right.
And I would have to look myself in the mirror, and I hated the person that I saw. I hated the person that was looking back at me because I'm saying, "What are you doing?" And it felt like every time I put on that clip-on tie, like a part of me died. Every single night. And and I worked and I got a call one night, and I'll take that. Let me rewind. Before the call, I remember one night walking around this complex in Durham where I had to secure whatever.
Yeah.
And I was broken, and I was at my wit's end. Like I was literally at the end of just like I was like, what? Like what? And I remember getting on my hands and knees and like looking up, and I'm like arms outstretched, and it's so symbolic because the same position that I was in was like this. And if you know my story, the end of the 49ers game, I'm like this. And I remember literally doing this and looking up to the heavens and saying, yelling, "What do you want from me? Like, God, what do you want from me? I have nothing else. You've taken everything away. You've taken away the money. You've taken away the notoriety. You've taken away the position. You've taken away the accolades. You've taken away everything. And you got me in this damn uniform, the clip-on tie. Like, what more do you, I have nothing else for you to take. What do you want from me?" And in that moment, it's quiet. It's like 3:30 in the morning. And God said, "I just want you." I said, "Jesse, that's it. I don't care about anything else. I just want you."
The answer right there in the stillness. Ooh, that's good.
Just the way you are, I want you. And, I was like, okay, I got nothing else. So I'm going to give you me. I'm going to give you me. And literally within a week, I get a phone call. And the phone call from a guy by the name of Kevin Best. And Kevin Best was at the time the PR at North Carolina. So I'm moving on, being 2 years removed from North Carolina. And Kevin calls me, he said, "Jesse," I said, "What's up, KB?" And he's just like, "Hey, some people called me from Spike TV And they during the show they were very vague about it, but I want to call you to let you know that I gave them your information. Okay, KB, cool. And so I get to hear about this show, and they are very vague about it, but they asked me to fill out an application and fax it back in, right? There was no scanning back then. There were no,
right.
there was no automated signed docs.
Right. The DocuSign.
Right. You have to print it out, sign it, fill it out, fax it back to them. And so so I did that, and a series of events, and we don't have time to hear all of the story, but a series of events happened where they were just like, I didn't have any money, but I needed a plane ticket. Boom, I got a call. My godmother gave me a plane ticket. It was phenomenal. I needed somewhere to stay in Orlando where the audition was being played at. I had a family friend in Orlando, lived 5 minutes from the audition. Boom, I had somewhere to stay. I go and do the audition, and you do all this stuff, and then it leads to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the show, it's 6 wide receivers, 6 DBs, and we're competing. We're right here in Dallas and at the Cotton Bowl. And at the time, the only real reality TV show that was on TV was The Real World.
Right.
And so in my head, I'm thinking, it's going to be like The Real World. We're going to do our little show, whatever. And then we're going to kind of go back to this mansion type house, and it's going to be like dope. We're going to live in a mansion. But little did I know, we weren't. We lived in the locker rooms of the Cotton Bowl. They came in and had people come in, and they made it into sections, but we lived literally at the Cotton Bowl for 2 months. No cell phones, no TV, no iPods, nothing. You had zero communication with the outside world unless you wrote letters. It was like jail. Literally like jail. You had to write letters to your family, and they had to read them before you sent them out. And then if you got anything in return, they had to read them before they gave them to you.
Okay, that puts Big Brother to shame. Wow, 2 months.
It was like jail. And you had sometimes you would have to compete for 2-minute phone calls. Yeah, that was the winning.
Wow.
The winner of this competition gets 3 minutes or 5 minutes to call your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, man, I haven't talked to my people in 3 weeks. 14 days. I haven't talked to anyone but the people that I'm living here with.
Yeah.
20 days. And so, yeah. And then, I win the show. And what was so amazing about it was the same producer who initially called me to start the process was one of the same producers at the end of the show. And he came to me, we were standing in Cowboy Stadium. And he said, I don't think you understand what just happened, Jesse. I said, I don't. He said, well, remember when I told you to send in that information to fax it in? I said, yeah. He said, we had over 100,000 applications sent in. He said, we auditioned in 5 cities, over 20,000 people. And out of that 20,000, we picked 50 of you that we were in LA for a week-long combine. And then out of that 50, we picked 12. And out of that 12, there was 1. And so I was. How
did that sit with you after him saying that to you? How did you process all that?
In that moment, I just won the show. Everything was kind of even now, I'm so appreciative of it, and I know that it's not a Jesse thing. It's a God thing. Mm-hmm. And you said something earlier, and a lot of people say this to me. They go, I wish Michael Irvin would bring that show back. I wish that show would have lived on. And at the time, we had one of the highest rated reality TV shows on TV. We had the #1 rated show on Spike TV at the time. Mm-hmm. And I tell people all the time, the show will never come back. It'll never come back, ever, ever. There will never be another 4th Along with Michael Irvin, simply because that was God's way of showing me just how awesome he can be in my life. And when I take you through this, Jesse, 1, you will know that you did not do this by yourself.
Right.
You too will have to tell this story, and people will listen. And you cannot tell this story because it's almost unbelievable. It's almost unbelievable that you did what you did. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to give me my praise. Mm-hmm. You're gonna always have, because people, till you're dead in the grave, you're gonna tell this story, and people are gonna say, how? And I'm going to say this was all God. This has nothing to do with me. And it was like, I'm going to show you just how awesome I am and how specific I can be. Because I look back, I think about it now, and I go, why Dallas? Why not the Browns? You think the Browns couldn't use at that time some recognition? The Jacksonville Jaguars, at the time the Houston Texans. There were a plethora of teams who were just poor in performance, poor in attendance, that could use that opportunity to be on the main stage and have their name and their team spoke about in this light.
Mm-hmm.
But God said, I'm going to pick the most recognizable franchise in the world. I'm not going to do the Browns. The Browns are not big enough for me. That's small time to me. No, I'm going to do the Dallas Cowboys, where you're going to have to be on the main stage, where people are going to have to talk about you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always going to be in the light because you're associated with that team. And so I get chills even thinking about it, because it was like, wow, how specific did like you had this much detail for me?
Mm-hmm.
For me? For little old the little dirty kid from Roselle, New Jersey?
Yeah.
You saw fit that I had, it was that much detail put into it. So yeah, and that's why when I sometimes, I personally get tired of telling my story. And then I'm always reminded it's not about you.
Yeah.
The story isn't about you. And let this be a lesson for most of us in life.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go through what we go through in life, whether the highs or the lows, the goods or the bad, the triumphs or the tragedies. We don't go through any of that for us.
Yeah.
It's not about us. God says, you're going to tell your story because someone needs to hear it. Someone needs to know about me. Someone needs to know that no matter how dark it is right now, the sun is going to come out tomorrow. Someone needs to know, and someone needs to hear that you have a chance, no matter the odds. Someone needs to know that I don't need time to turn things around. I can do it like that.
Yeah.
Someone needs to know that I don't need recognition. I don't need you. I don't need you to have a name. I don't need you to have a skill. I can change all that. I can make a way where there is no way. And there was literally no way. My phone wasn't ringing. My agent at the time, he wasn't even taking my calls.
Wow.
No teams are answering, Jesse. No team will work you out. And it looked like to the common man that I was done. And God said, nah, I'm gonna give you 4 more years to do this on the biggest stages ever.
Goosebumps. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That explains everything, because I remember the game that you were in against San Francisco. And when you were running, you scored that touchdown where you dropped to your knees. And as you talked about, when you had lost everything and you were broken, and you were there, and that opportunity came and you were scored with the most well-known team, the biggest team. And I remember you dropping to your knees and your arms just stretched up of like truly giving God glory, not for the touchdown, but for the position that he put you in. Yeah.
And I was literally screaming. I was literally screaming, glory. Thank you, Father. I'm not worthy of this moment. Thank you. I'm literally screaming that because, and at the time, my head coach, Jason Garrett, he said to me in the meeting the next day, he said, sometimes you got to act like you've been there before. And I said, and I told him in that meeting, I said, you don't quite know what I've been through. That was a breakthrough for me. So it wasn't about act like I've been there before. It was about, I finally got there. It was a breakthrough for me. And it was like, I was not going to miss that moment, because the first time God gave me the opportunity to be in the National Football League, I made it about Jesse.
Yeah.
I made everything about Jesse, right? I was flying girls out of one airport, picking them up at another airport, partying, hanging out, spending. I was doing everything that I was not supposed to be doing. And I said, if it happens again, I'm going to give him the credit. And so that moment, it wasn't about, pointing to my, the nameplate and saying, it's me, look at Jesse. It was like, nah, while this camera is on me, and it
Mhm.
gotta be on me, they gonna know that I'm praising my Lord and Savior, because this does not happen without him.
And
So that's
I remember several times too watching it. And after you scored and you did, you know, drop to your knees and you had your hand up. I remember the replay. They were replaying that over and over again. And it is not just after the game, they gave the highlights and everything else. I so remember we seeing you run in slow-mo and then you know you giving God praise. And then the actual live shot of you running in and scoring and giving God praise. Like it was just simultaneously where he just orchestrated the camera
Yep.
to make sure that there was a message there that everybody
Yep.
needed to see.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That was an aha moment for me. I caught that. I caught
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's so good, Jesse.
Yeah.
Oof. I am not crying on my own show. I'm not doing it. That is so good. That is so good. It's just a message that I just got from that is just to keep going. And our mental sometimes is so confined to this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fill out this application. I'm gonna try to apply for this job. And this is the, you know, where God is like, why are you trying to be like, you know, this particular line level when I got you here at the top of the building, so many
Yeah.
stories up? You got a huge window, the light shining in over your desk. You got, you know, this magnitude of office. Like he's trying to get us up to that top spot in that building where we're just like, you know, right, comfortable in our line levelness.
Yeah. And our entry level position.
Entry level. Yes. That is so
I
perfect.
got so much more for you. I got so much more for you. But and for me, it was simply me saying, I have so much more for you.
Mhm.
I just need you. Like I need you to get out of your way and let me do what I do. Because I see guys like we're not gonna go to church, but this is my story.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right. This is my reality. This is my story. God says like I can't work in the space that you're working in.
Hmm.
I need you to get out of the way and let me do what I do.
Yeah.
Let me be who I am. But you know, and God's not like, okay, you think you know better than I do? Have at it.
Hmm.
When you're done, I'll be right here. I still love you. And then we'll get to go. And for me, he had to break me. It
Yeah.
was literally he had to break me because he said, you think you know better. You think you know better. And he's like, okay, you got it. And that's kind of indicative almost to like what we've seen in the world the last year or two. It's just like, oh, y'all think y'all know? No problem. Y'all got it. Oh, no, don't worry about it. I'm gonna tear the White House up. No, y'all got it. No. Y'all got it. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm gonna send something that y'all ain't even gonna know what it is, and I'm gonna shut everything down. Oh, no, y'all got it. Don't worry about it. Oh no. I'm flooding areas that ain't supposed to be flooding. I'm freezing in places that don't supposed to be freezing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
Yeah.
y'all got it. And it's like that is so indicative of life. And sometimes we have to, like I had to be broken. We have to be broken for him to properly use us. We have to get out of our own way and say, all right, what do you want from me? Me? That's it? Cool. And then follow his will. And so that's my story.
Gosh, I just hope that people listen to your story. It got so much of the gems that you dropped during that whole entire story. And another thing that I just again have to say is with the platform that you have definitely put a smile on my face. And as far as people that follow you on Twitter, many people that do, when people feel like that they've gone to the ultimate low, here comes this former athlete sitting in his car on Fridays wearing some tie-dye shirts when it's hot, because Texas is ridiculously hot.
Right.
Or, you know, sweatshirts when, you know, Texas is cold. It's still tie-dye. And he comes with some jams. It could be Luther, it could be Beyonce, it could be some kind of throwback, whatever. And he'll start off with, hey, you have my permission. That moment for me, I can't speak for nobody else, but that moment for me, if I've had a bad moment, bad day, bad week, you know, these jobs aren't picking up. I've been unemployed for almost a year. What am I going to do, God? Where am I getting the next check from? Where am I getting the next money from? I will click onto that, Jesse, in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Drop your weight and you better get wherever you are and start dancing. That's why I told you that I had bad news happen to me in the middle of Tom Thumb, aisle 6, picking up dinner, click onto your video, and I started dancing. And I said, yeah, we got his permission. And, you know, I got this lady looking at me like got her cart turned away, social distance, like she's losing her mind on the corner of Fruit Loops and shredded wheat. Like, I just want to know, what was the inspiration for you to start Tie-Dye Friday? Like, it's needed. It's awesome. Please don't ever end it. What made you start doing that? It's fantastic.
Tie-dye was an accident.
Really?
It was an accident.
Wow.
And that's what makes it so beautiful. Shoot, you got to have me tearing up. Because so many people say what you say about Tie-Dye Friday. And so here's the genesis of Tie-Dye Friday. I'm an athletic director at a private school in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And 2 summers ago, I was put in charge of running the summer camp. Didn't want to do it. I'm supposed to be on break, but I did it. I was obedient and I did it. And so as we were picking out colors for our shirts for summer camp, I said, well, let me get something that I'll be able to recognize when we go on field trips on Fridays. Mm-hmm. I said, we'll recognize tie-dye. That's why you'll see in the early videos, it said FCA summer camp.
Yes, I did. Okay. Because of the summer camp you're involved in. Okay.
And so one of the things, I love our kids. I hate riding on the bus with kids. Hate riding on the bus with kids. I hate it. So I would have someone ride on the bus and I would always either follow the bus in my car mm-hmm. or lead the way there in my car.
Right.
And the very first song was Bobby Brown, My Prerogative. And I remember parking the car. No, I was actually still driving the car. And that's funny, because initially when I started doing Tie-Dye Friday, I was literally driving the car as I'm doing this.
Wow.
And then I had people reach out to me that I care about, and I was like, listen, we love you, and we want you to be here for a while. Continue Tie-Dye Friday, but can you please park the car? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I love you guys, so I'll park the car. And the thing about music, sports, bring people together. Mm-hmm. How many times have you been to a game where you've high-fived people that you have no clue who they are?
Yeah.
But in that moment, because your team scored, we together.
Yep. You
got a Cowboy shirt on, I got a Cowboy shirt on. You got a Tar Heel shirt on, I got a Tar Heel shirt on. You got a Michigan shirt on, I got a Michigan shirt on. We in this together. Mm-hmm. I don't know you from Adam, but we just scored. We just hit a bucket. High five. Music. It doesn't matter where you at. When that beat hits right, you're gonna nod your head and you're gonna tap your feet. Mm-hmm. That's just what music does. So music, no matter where you're from, no matter your ethnic background, no matter your religion, no matter your gender, any of that, when the beat drops, you feel it. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter. And we can all know that there are songs and there's music that when we hear it, it instantly takes us to a place.
Yes.
It instantly, like you can name songs. I'm like, oh, I remember, oh man, 05 at the club at Carolina, this song came on, we turned up, and it takes you to a place.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was Bobby Brown, My Prerogative, that came on, and I was just like just jamming. I was just like, I'm just gonna make a video so people can feel this energy and this joy that I'm feeling on this Friday. It's Friday, but My Prerogative, and it brought me joy. And when I did it, the response was crazy. And I was like, okay. And all of a sudden people were like, all right, see you next week, next Friday. And I was like, wait, what? They're like, oh, no, you got to come back next Friday and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And it became a thing. And like you said, there's been times in my life doing, and I'll tell you this, I wanted to end Tie-Dye Friday. Like yeah. I wanted to, I was like, I don't feel like looking for a song every single week. I'm like, I'm done. And I remember like last year around like January, beginning of January, like, I'm gonna kind of just like slowly end. I'm just gonna stop doing the videos. And I didn't do one video one week. And then the next week, everybody was like, all right, bro, we let you slide last week.
Mm-hmm.
Bring the jams. And like, it was like constant. And I was like, people really need this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been times where I have been, in the dumps, energy low, spiritually on E, mentally fatigued, life just all jacked up.
Yeah.
And I do these Tie-Dye Fridays and I hear the responses and I go back and watch them myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw it pulled me out of it. And so for me, it was something that started on accident. And I was just shocked and amazed that people need that.
Mm-hmm.
And how awesome that I get a chance to bring joy. And I'm always about one person, right? Like my thing is, I don't know who listens to your show, I don't know the numbers, but if one person listens to this episode and are changed, I've done my job. If one person listens to Tie-Dye Friday and their mood is changed and they go from a dark place to a happy place,
mm-hmm.
in that 2 minutes and 20 seconds, I've done my job.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so awesome that I have this platform that I'm literally able to change people's moods and change people's thinking and their thought process and just overall happiness. Mm-hmm. And so I love Tie-Dye Friday. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that you love it. I love that the people love it. And it's something that, it started out on accident, but it was definitely done for a purpose.
Oh my gosh. And the purpose is amazing. And I just hope that people do get the true message. You always lay a message over the music. The music is great, but the message that you give, Jesse, it is absolutely phenomenal. That you have the permission to jam. Like, it's been, I think it was a week or two ago where you said you had a rough week yourself, but you're like, it's been a crazy week. It's been a heck of a week, but we here Friday. I love you. We gonna welcome Friday. And I'm going, okay, he's human too. He's had a rough week. He's had, mountains that he had to go and climb and overcome, all obstacles and everything else. Not just us, but he's gone through it too. And yet he's here, tie-dye sweatshirt on, giving us permission to jam. We all jam together in 2 minutes and 20 seconds and jam our problems away. And that's huge.
And for me, like in the beginning, right, I always started out with the yell, right? Mm-hmm. That yeah, like, and it's symbolic because there are times in our life, and if you're being honest, where you just want to scream.
Yes.
Where you just want to scream, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes letting out a scream, whether it's a scream of frustration or it's a scream of joy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that 3 seconds of I'm just yelling, it's just and I'm letting go of whatever that thing is. If I'm either letting go of the joy so you can feel it, or whatever that thing has gotten me frustrated, I'm letting it go. Mm-hmm. Because for the next 2 minutes and 20 seconds, I am going to jam. I'm going to sing. I'm going to dance. I don't care who's watching. I don't care what's going on, because in this moment, I'm going to be okay. Mm-hmm. Because the problems like I said before, the stress, the anxiety, the depression, the nonsense, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be there. It ain't going nowhere. But allow yourself this moment. We don't allow ourselves enough moments to just jam, to just say, you know what? I'm not a business owner right now. You know what? I'm not a mom right now. I'm not a dad right now. I'm not unemployed right now. I'm not poor right now. I'm not heartbroken right now. I'm not anything right now. Right now, I am going to just be me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to, because this song is jamming. And I'm going to dance even though I don't feel like dancing. And if I got to tear up and cry, I'm going to tear up and cry.
Yeah.
I'm going to yell. I'm going to shake my shoulders. I'm going to swing my hips. I'm going to tap my feet. I'm going to do whatever this is for I'm not going to think about none of that for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And sometimes if we just give ourselves a moment,
Mm-hmm.
just give yourself a moment. If you are the same when that song's finished, then you're a robot.
Yeah.
You are a robot. If you jam for 2 minutes and 20 seconds with me on Fridays, the color of your mood ring changes.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't change the fact that you're unemployed. It don't change that fact. It don't change the fact that things might still be broken or things might still. It doesn't change that fact. What it does is change how you look at those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how we look at those things. That's why I say, hey, close that laptop, push away from that desk, step away, and just have this moment. You deserve this moment to jam. And just go and do it and allow yourself. We need to give ourselves more moments to just be human, to just enjoy ourselves. It doesn't say that you walk away from responsibilities, don't care about anything, but just for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a moment in time, say, you know what? I'm just going to dance. I'm just going to dance, and I'm going to shout, and I'm going to sing, and I'm going to be happy. And in that moment, you make a choice to be happy. Mm-hmm. In that moment, I'm telling you, I've had some days, I've had some weeks, but in that moment, I have made a conscious decision. I am going to be happy in that moment. And when I'm done, boy, do I feel so much better. And it carries me, it changes me. And I look forward to it. And then when I hear stories like yours and others, it lets me know, it lets you know, mm-hmm. It lets me know we human.
Yeah.
We human. We gonna go through some stuffs, but allow yourself those moments to jam.
Oh my gosh. I have other questions to ask you, but that right there, Jesse. And side note, somebody put this man back on television. Somebody put this man back on television, radio, something, because you're needed. You're needed so much in this world. And I'm so honored and so blessed that you said yes, that you would come on this podcast. I have learned so much about you. But most importantly, I learned so much of the gems you dropped. And from this show, and I hope everybody else that's listening, it is okay through the dark to come into the light. And if you come into the light, celebrate, dance, rejoice.
Like every day, people say, like, how do you have so much energy when you wake up in the morning? Like, oh, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Good morning, world.
And sometimes you go to bed late too. And I'm like, how's he up at 5 and he went to bed at like 12:30 CST? Like,
life. I am like, just, you have to just look around us. There were, and it's unfortunate. There were 10 people yesterday who didn't think that their day was going to end like that in Boulder, Colorado. And if you walk around with your head hung and you're in these dark places, and I know that people go there, but every day I get a chance to live, and it doesn't negate that I have bad days, but boy, do I try to enjoy myself every single day. You can't avoid them. That's what makes life life.
Right.
But boy, there's so much happening around us. Like, literally, we had our lives shut down for 365 plus days. Countless people have lost their lives. 10 people yesterday. I mean, there's so much craziness going on around us that if you allow that to engulf you, that you'll be miserable. And what a terrible way to live you got those 10 people yesterday would give everything to live another minute.
That's right.
And why?
That's right.
Constantly poured into the negative side of things. So when I get to open my eyes up in the day, yes, sometimes my days are hard. They're long,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, shoot, good morning, world. Let's
Yeah.
go. Like, let's go. Be ready to be happy today. You have that. And that's the thing. Like, it's a choice. Happiness and sadness is a choice. I'm not negating anything that comes with mental health or mental health struggles. But my goodness, I am going to choose joy daily. The outcome may not always be that I keep it all day long,
Right.
but damn sure I'm gonna choose it every day. And that's how I'm gonna start my day. And I'm gonna let God take care of the rest. But boy, I love life. And no matter the stage that I'm in it, I'm like, shoot, I'm free, I'm alive, I'm young, um, let's go. What good morning, world. That's to be the energy that you have to have. I don't listen, I didn't have some days. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have some days. I didn't have broke days. I didn't have homeless days. I didn't have crying days. I didn't have miserable days. I didn't have it all. I didn't been through I didn't have unemployed days. All of it. I done lived the highest of highs and I lived the lowest of lows.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna live and enjoy life. And while I'm here, darn it, bring some people along with you to positivity, not to
Yes.
the negative stuff. Misery loves company. Bring some folks along with you where you changing some lives and you giving some joy. And so tie-dye Friday, good morning world, the interactions and all that kind of stuff. You know, I was talking to someone last night who was dealing with cancer.
Mm.
I've never met this woman a day in my life. I've never met her. Middle-aged white woman. Never met her a day in my life. She comes to me, she said, because when I talk to you, I feel happy. And she's battling cancer. Never met her a day in my life. I gave her my number. I said, listen, I'm with you. Let's go. Let's fight this fight together. Let's fight this fight. If you ever feel afraid, if you ever feel scared, if you ever feel alone, call me. Middle-aged white woman, I never met a day in my life.
Mm.
But she found happiness and joy in talking to me. And I'm like, wow, wow. What do I have to be sad about?
Yeah.
What do I have to be mad about, down about? Yeah, stuff happens. But people fighting for lives out here.
Mm-hmm.
And just talking to me brings someone joy. Man, listen, let's live. Let's live and let's be happy while we're living.
Be
Despite
happy.
the circumstances.
Be happy and choose joy. That's what it's all about. And you are perfectly right. And I am so happy and so thankful that you took the time to come on this podcast. This was an absolute blast. I can go on another hour of all the gems that you dropped and the motivation that you dropped today. I hope that people took something away from this and took the message of what you said.
We'll do a part two.
Okay.
Okay. Pinky promise. We'll do a part two.
Okay, pinky promise.
Pinky promise. Boom. There it is right there. I don't break pinky promises.
Where can they connect you at on the social, Jesse?
Oh, at Mr. Fourth and Long. MR, the number 4, THANDLONG, at Mr. Fourth and Long. If there's any other one, and it's Jesse with no I, please don't put an I in my name.
Well, don't put an I in his name, please, people.
Please, y'all, don't put the I in my name. It's just Jesse, JESSE. Don't put the I in my name. And don't forget the E in Holly, HOLLEY. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter. I am always on too much, probably. I'm on too much. I really am on too much. But yeah, I love life. I love life. I love people. And be there on Friday. You know what it is.
Oh,
be
you absolutely do.
Jam out with your boy Jay Holly. I'm gonna give you permission to jam, and we're gonna do the damn thing.
I love it. I love it. Jesse, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. And as I always end the show, ladies and gentlemen, take care and stay safe.